Hey, well, leaders, this is Pastor Matt here. Just wanted to give you an update. Due to some technical difficulties during the recording and editing process, this month's video will be purely audio. We have Pastor Michael here with a couple great stories about how to measure progress as a leader. We really hope you enjoy it. Here he is.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this month's leadership video here at The Well. Every month we like to put out a leadership video just for let you guys know what's going on in our lives and maybe something we're learning here on staff or as pastors. And hopefully it's something that you can apply in your own kind of context or area of leadership, whether that's here at The Well or in your communities or your workplaces or your family. And this month, I'm kind of talking about the idea of leading forward, leading into the future, with this idea that we know someday out there, the people that we're leading, and even in our own lives, we are looking for fruit. We're looking for progress in our lives. And so that's kind of the idea, the catalyst for this month's leadership lesson. Several years ago, my wife and I and our kids went out to Southern California, went out to visit her cousin in Orange County. And if you've ever been there, ever heard about it, it's the most beautiful place in the world. It's always like 72 degrees and sunny and just perfect. And we were hanging out with her cousin and his family. They lived right there in Orange County, and our kids were in the backyard. They were playing around. They were enjoying the sunshine. They were playing tag, and they were screaming, and they were laughing and just having an absolute blast. And we just kind of sat in the back, and we grilled some burgers and just hung out, and we were loving our life back there. And in the back yard, in the corner, there was this sprawling lemon tree. And I think for us, here in the Midwest, it was just kind of strange to be able to grow a citrus tree right there in your backyard. And the kids, they loved it. There were lemons on the tree the size of their head, and they said, "Okay, go ahead and pick, one or two lemons, and we'll make some lemonade." So of course, our kids coming, with armfuls of lemon, plopped them down on the picnic table, and we had this big pile of lemons. And we decided, all right, let's make lemonade. So we did. So we went inside and made this delicious lemonade, and really just made these incredible memories. It just forever kind of seared itself into my mind. This great just chance to connect with them, these great memories. And for them, it was really fitting. That family had just been through an incredibly difficult time. Their daughter had been diagnosed with cancer, a rare form, and had gone through all of the treatments. And now she was recovering, and she was healthy, and she was able to actually be in that backyard, running around, playing with our kids. And it was just such a memory. Now, fast forward a few years to this past March. My birthday is at the end of March, and a couple of days before that, this tall, slender box arrives on our doorstep, and it says, "Open immediately." Now, I'm a rule follower, so I'm like, open immediately. I need to open this. But I also knew what my wife had warned me about, which was to not open any box that had arrived because it might be a birthday present. I didn't want to ruin it. So I texted her, "Hey, this says open immediately. What do you want me to do?" She said, "Don't open it." I texted her 2 or 3 other times throughout the day. This box was still sitting there. Are we killing something, because we're not opening this box? Well, a couple of days later, sure enough, I opened up this box. It was a Meyer lemon tree. And I was so excited because I thought of that lemon tree in our cousin's backyard from years ago, and I thought, now I'm going to be the one growing this tree right here in suburban Chicago, right in the corner of my living room, right where the sun kind of comes in, and I'm going to one day be able to make lemonade just like that time. So I open the box and I pull out the instructions. And on the instruction sheet, it says, kind of your care and where you're going to put this thing and when you're going to repot it and all of these things. And then it says, and in 3 to 5 years, you'll have fruit. And I was kind of like, oh my goodness, this is like a long haul commitment here. I'm not just, going to make lemonade next month here. I've got to care for this plant for the next 3 to 5 years before I get anything out of it. So sure enough, kind of as a part of my morning routine, I would check the lemon tree, and I still do this. I go down and see if it's dry. If it is, I add a little bit of water, and I kind of got into this habit, this pattern, realizing that about every 3 to 5 days, this plant needed water. So every 3 to 5 days, I needed to care for it. I needed to give a little bit of attention, so that in 3 to 5 years, I would have something from it. I would have fruit that this tree was going to produce. You know, I think about this last year, and you talk about life giving us lemons, right? I mean, it has been sour in so many ways, and we've become maybe bitter or frustrated, or we've lost relationships, or there have been things about our life that have been so difficult that we end up feeling like we are just waiting for something different, or maybe we just feel stuck. And yet the reality is, I also think that sometimes over this last year, we blamed so much on COVID. Well, I haven't done this because of COVID, or this has been hard because of COVID. And the reality is, life is hard. Life is going to be, it was hard before COVID in a lot of ways. It's been hard through COVID. And when we are through this, it's going to continue to be difficult. There are going to continue to be trials. And in these sour times, whether we feel like we're in them now, or we feel like, okay, eventually we're close and we're almost out of them, wherever we're at in that, it can feel overwhelming. We can feel angry, we can feel frustrated, we can feel upset. We sometimes we just kind of get up and we just go through our day. We're stuck. We don't really think about how we can move toward that fruit in our lives, or as leaders, how to help those that we're leading get to that place of a fruitful life. And yet, as followers of Jesus, that's what we are called to do, is produce fruit in our lives, and as leaders, to help those around us produce that fruit as well. And yet, sometimes it is hard because we stop watering the things that need our attention. We stop tending to that soil, and yet we're expecting that fruit will eventually come around. And so I want to take a few minutes just to look at a couple of examples in Scripture about the idea of waiting, but then moving again toward that fruit, taking steps in order to cultivate our souls and that soil so that God can grow something in us. There are a few stories, and I think one of the things about these stories, kind of a common thread, is that they are just small steps that these people took in order to then have fruit, God-given fruit in their lives. Because sometimes I think we feel like we need these amazing big steps and big changes in order to become productive in our faith walk. And yet that's just not often the case. We just need to take small steps. So the first one is about the 10 lepers. It's in Luke 17, and maybe you remember the story. Well, Jesus says, go because you are healed. Go show the priest that you've been healed, because at that time, lepers would have been kind of cast out of society and their community, and they would have had to have gone to the priest if they believed they were healed to kind of get that seal of approval. Okay, now you're a part of the community again. And in Luke 17, it says, and as they went, they were cleansed. So Jesus says, go. The lepers have got to look at themselves and each other and think, well, he didn't do anything yet. Nothing has happened. And yet, what did they do? They took that small step, a series of small steps of faith toward the priest, who eventually told them that they had been cleansed. It happened along the way. It happened through movement. Another one, we remember the story of Jesus turning water into wine. It's in John 2, and now they're out of wine at the wedding. So it's like, okay, this is not good. This is, all of a sudden the party becomes super lame. Like, what happened? And Jesus wants the party to continue. He wants that celebration to go on. So he tells the servants, fill these jugs with water and bring them to the master of the banquet in order to sample them, because it will be wine. Okay, so now these servants are filling up these jugs with water, and at some point they've got to be freaking out. They've got to think, we're going to lose our jobs, at least maybe we're going to lose our life, because we're bringing these jugs of water to the master of the banquet and saying, taste this wine. And yet they took those steps. They carried the water all the way to the master of the banquet, and it turns out it was the best wine probably ever in all of creation. because they took those steps. Another one we all know is the Red Sea, right? So the Israelites are escaping from Egypt, and yet the Egyptians are pressing behind them. They look back, and they're these weapons. They are looking at an inevitable slaughter, and then ahead of them is the Red Sea. So they're either faced with drowning or death from the Egyptian army. And God tells Moses, move on. And again, you think of that first step, maybe the toe in the water of the Red Sea, and yet it's at that point the miracle happens, allowing the Israelites to walk across on dry land. And they turn back, and the sea envelops around the Egyptian army, and they die. But it's because they took those steps towards the thing, towards the miracle, towards the fruit, towards the opportunity that God was giving them. It's been hard these last several months. I get it. We've adjusted to so much in really a short period of time. We've had to change our schedules and our perspective and our life in so many ways. And I think sometimes that can be fatiguing, exhausting, overwhelming. And in that moment, we can end up saying, you know what, I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to stay exactly where I am because it's just too tiring to try to get moving again. And yet here we are, hoping for a change, hoping for a different future, hoping for that fruit in 3 to 5 years, neglecting the watering of our habits, our soil, our own souls every 3 to 5 days today. And so I want to talk about kind of how we do this. If we don't water today, there won't be any fruit in 3 to 5 years. If we don't move consistently, the fruit won't come. So how do we do it? I want to talk 3 really practical ways. The first one, it might sound kind of counterintuitive. I want us to move slow. I want us to move slowly because a knee-jerk reaction is not going to help. In our own lives, if we say all of a sudden, okay, we're going to get back to doing everything that we did before COVID, all of the great habits, we're going to bring them all back. Within a week, we're going to be disappointed. It's like the New Year's resolution that we drop off, the third week in January and end up disappointed and ashamed. I want us to move slowly in our own personal lives, but I also want us to move slowly in areas where we're leading people. Because again, that knee-jerk reaction, all right, guys, let's go, let's do this, let's do it now, let's do it fast, it's not going to work. You're going to lose people along the journey if you go too fast. I think if anything that I've learned through this COVID season is that we need to have incredible amounts of grace with ourselves and with those around us. And that applies to leadership as well. Have grace with the people that you are leading. I learned this idea of invitation and challenge from a pastor years ago. The idea when Jesus said, come follow me and I will make you fishers of men. That idea, come follow me, is come hang out with me, just be around me. But then I will make you fishers of men. There's some molding, there's some challenge there, there's some difficulty. And so that's what I want us to think about as we lead. Bringing both an invitation and a challenge to those people that we're leading. So move, but move slowly. The second one is move steadily. So I've already said we don't have to go fast, but we do have to move. And once we begin, we have to do it consistently. You think about watering. If I watered a gallon today and didn't do anything for 3 weeks or a month, that little Meyer lemon tree in my living room would eventually die. It can't handle that. It has to have consistent watering every 3 to 5 days. And that's true of our own spiritual life. That's true of our own leadership life. We talk about here at the Well having people take 1 step every semester. Maybe they haven't been doing their triple challenge. Help them take that step this semester. Start them with 3 minutes a day praying, listening to God and reading His Word. Maybe they haven't prayed aloud in your small group, or maybe they're just not consistently showing up to church or to your dream team that you're leading. Whatever it is, I want us to help them take 1 step this semester. Begin that consistency, that moving steadily. So move slow, move steadily. And the third one is move spiritually. This leadership lesson, it isn't a hack. It isn't some self-help chapter. These are things that are based on Scripture, based on what we believe that we saw in Jesus' life. So I want us to move spiritually as we lead and in our own lives. And again, something we've talked about for years, here at The Well, we believe that the foundation of all of this, all of our leadership, all of our outreach, all of our involvement in others' lives is based on prayer. And so we say we pray first. So in your own life, I would challenge you, ask God, where do you want me to begin watering today? In the lives of those you're leading, pray, ask God for wisdom, direction. What area of their life do I need to help encourage them, invite them, challenge them, and help them to move steadily along? Those are the three things that I really want us to focus on as we think about fruit into the future, leading into the future, and really leading forward today. I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for taking the time in this leadership lesson to watch it. Feel free to pass it along to those you're leading or other people that you think would benefit from this video, and we will see you soon.